On Christmas Eve, a single dad found a woman digging through trash. But when he looked closer, he realized she wasn't just anyone. She was a millionaire, lost and broken, desperate for redemption and a second chance. What happened that night will leave you speechless. If you believe everyone deserves a second chance, hit subscribe right now and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to know your city. Snowflakes swirled through the night air, soft but relentless, covering the small town in a glittering white coat. The streets were quiet, save for the distant echo of Christmas carols carried by the wind. Daniel Carter, a single father, pulled his threadbare coat tighter around his shoulders. His daughter Lily, just 7 years old, trotted beside him, her mittened hand tucked safely into his. It was Christmas Eve. To most, that meant laughter, feasts, and presents stacked under glowing trees. But for Daniel, it meant something far simpler: survival. He hadn't been able to buy gifts this year, not after losing his second job. Still, he had promised Lily they would make Christmas special with hot chocolate. A small tree they had decorated with handmade ornaments and love. As they walked past the church, Lily hummed a carol softly, her innocent voice cutting through Daniel's heavy thoughts. He smiled faintly, but inside his chest ached. He had promised her the world, yet tonight, all he could offer was warmth from an old fireplace and soup stretched thin. They turned down a dim alley, a shortcut home. That was when Lily stopped suddenly, her mitten tugging at Daniel's sleeve. "Daddy!" "Look!" Daniel followed her gaze. At first, he thought the figure crouched beside the trash bins was just another lost soul, one of the many the city had forgotten. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw a woman. Her once elegant coat ripped at the seams, her blonde hair tangled and wet with snow. She was digging frantically through a trash bag, her hands red from the cold. Daniel's stomach tightened. Homelessness wasn't new to him. He had volunteered at shelters before, but something about her didn't fit. Her posture, her delicate features. "There was a story there, miss. Are you okay?" he asked cautiously, stepping closer. The woman froze. Her blue eyes darted up wide with fear, like a deer cornered by headlights. For a moment she said nothing, then her voice cracked. I just need something to eat. Please." Daniel's heart twisted. He glanced down at Lily, who was already pulling something from her pocket, a small candy cane. It's the only treat she'd been given after church. She held it out with both hands. "Here," Lily whispered shyly. The woman stared at the child, her lips trembling. Slowly, she took the candy cane as if it were gold, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means." Daniel knew he couldn't leave her in the cold. Against every practical thought screaming in his head, he could barely afford food for himself and Lily, he said. "Come with us. At least warm up for a bit." For a moment she hesitated, as though kindness itself felt foreign. Then she nodded back. At their small apartment, Daniel gave her a blanket and a bowl of soup. She sat by the fire, staring into the flames as if they held memories. Lily sat cross-legged beside her, asking innocent questions her name. If she liked Christmas, if she wanted to help hang paper snowflakes on the window, the woman smiled faintly at Lily's warmth, but avoided Daniel's eyes. Something about her radiated mystery. Her hands, though dirty, were manicured once. The way she spoke carried refinement, not the rough edge of the streets. When Lily finally dozed off on the couch, Daniel cleared his throat. "So, what's your name?" The woman's gaze lingered on the fire. Finally she whispered, "Victoria." Name struck a chord. Daniel frowned, his mind racing. He had seen that face before, not in person, but on glossy magazine covers in grocery stores. Victoria Hale, a millionaire philanthropist. She had been in the news months ago, first for her dazzling charity events, then for the scandal that followed her husband's sudden death. Rumors of fraud, betrayal by business partners, and lawsuits had filled the headlines. And then she had vanished. "Victoria Hale?" he asked softly, almost in disbelief. Her eyes snapped to his, filled with both fear and exhaustion. For a long moment she said nothing. Then her shoulders sagged. "Yes, that was me. But I'm not her anymore." Not the woman people think they knew. Her voice trembled as she spoke, unraveling secrets she had kept buried. After her husband's death, she discovered the empire he left behind was rotten. Corruption, lies, debts hidden in shadows. Friends she thought she could trust abandoned her. The press tore her apart. She had money, yes, but no will to fight. No strength to keep going, so she walked away from it all. From herself. I thought wealth meant security, she whispered bitterly. But when the storms came, I realized I had nothing. No family, no true friends, nothing that mattered. Her hand shook. And tonight, I just wanted to feel invisible, to stop existing. Daniel's chest tightened. He had struggled, his whole life just to survive. Yet here was a woman who had everything the world admired: wealth, beauty, status, and she was shattered. Both of them were broken in different ways. He didn't know what to say. But Lily, who had woken briefly, climbed into Victoria's lap and whispered, "You're not nothing. You're my friend now." Victoria's face crumpled as she held the little girl close, tears streaming silently. The night passed with quiet. Conversation broken only by the crackle of the fire. For the first time in months, Victoria felt Cindy not as a tabloid scandal, not as a name with a fortune, but as a human being. When morning came, the tiny apartment glowed with laughter. Daniel made pancakes thin and imperfect, but warm. Lily insisted Victoria help her put the paper star atop their small tree. For a fleeting moment, Victoria felt something she thought she had lost forever: belonging. When she left later that day, she promised to return. Daniel didn't know if she would. People like her didn't stay in lives like his. But 3 days later, a letter arrived. It wasn't written with legal jargon or accompanied by lawyers. Just a handwritten note. "Daniel, Lily, you gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. I want to return the gift. Come to my home for Christmas dinner." Victoria Daniel hesitated, but Lily's excitement left him no choice. That night, they stood before her estate. The mansion was no longer a hollow monument to wealth. Lights twinkled across every window, warmth spilling into the snowy night. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon and roasted turkey. Staff moved quietly, smiling. But it wasn't the luxury that stunned Daniel, it was the atmosphere. It wasn't cold or empty. It felt alive. Victoria greeted them at the door, wearing a simple dress, no diamonds, no makeup mask, just herself. She knelt before Lily, pressing a wrapped gift into her hands. "Last week," Shay said softly, "you gave me the only gift that mattered: kindness. Tonight, I want to give you a little joy in return." Lily tore it open and gasped at the doll inside, her smile radiant. Victoria looked at Daniel, her eyes shimmering. "I don't need money. I need people who see me. You did? I want to be part of your lives if you'll let me." Daniel, overwhelmed, could only nod. That Christmas, the three of them sat at a table full of food, laughter, something money could never buy: love. Years later, Lily would remember that Christmas Eve as the night her family grew. Daniel would remember it as the night hope returned. And Victoria. She would remember it as the night she stopped being a ghost in her own story. What began with a millionaire woman digging through trash ended in a miracle: 3 broken souls finding home in each other. Because sometimes the richest hearts are found in the poorest places.